NeonicVoid Productions presents.
Welcome to Spookocalypse, where the darkness is nothing to be afraid of, but we who reside there are worth every ounce of fright. My name is Bunyip, and I'm joined with three other people. And could y'all introduce yourselves, please?
Mad Chairman.
Hi, I'm Housekeeper.
And hello, I'm today's movie's defense attorney, Zio.
Of course you are.
I'm going to be this movie's defense attorney because this movie was... Mwah, it was... So we're just going to... Housekeeper, take it away. Before we jump in.
We're just jumping right in.
Yeah, we're just jumping right in today.
If you like this podcast, make sure you follow and rate us on whatever site you listen to your podcast. Share with your friends. New episodes get uploaded every Saturday. Links are down in the description for other podcasts that are part of the Neonic family. Follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @Spookocalypse. That's at SPOOKOCALYPSE. We have a YouTube that's also going to be in our link tree that's in the description. We do spooky shit. Mints are on the pillow.
Yay!
Yay!
And what's today's flavor, mint?
Actually, it's not even a mint. My kid snuck in and snuck a Lego on the pillow.
I love that. I love that. That's accurate. It's accurate to today's episode.
Thank you. That's what I was going for.
So the movie, we're talking about a movie today. We're talking about a very recent film that was in theaters for a short time back in January. And then it hit Shudder back February 2nd. The movie we're talking about today is Skinamarink. This is an experimental horror film written and directed by Kyle Edward Ball, a fellow gay. Let's see. This movie is based on a short film he did called Heck. It's a 20-minute short horror film on YouTube that is like the proof of concept for this movie about a son and about a boy and his mother when they're trapped in hell. This movie was going around the film circuit, the film festival circuit for quite a while. And then it leaked on the internet because one of the film festivals accidentally leaked it to the internet.
Of course they did.
Due to a technical issue. And then this film started spreading like wildfire through the horror community, through TikTok, Reddit, Twitter. And it became like word of mouth. I'm saying this now. This is a horror film that is divided amongst the horror community, as well as you will see that it is going to be divided amongst the hosts here. Some people love it, some people hate it, and then there are obviously a group of people that are in the middle. I am today's defense attorney for Skinamarink. Hi, how are you? Court's in session. This movie's great, awesome. Best spent it made $2 million in theaters, but the budget was $15,000. Amazing. Loved it. Great. This film got picked up by IFC so fucking quick because IFC and Shudder like, we want it. And they just they wasted no time. You're like, give me, we'll take it. We'll put it in theaters and we'll put it on streaming. Bam. Because they announced that back in December. And then, of course, 2 months later, it's on streaming. It's a Shudder original now. Or it's a Shudder exclusive, sorry. It's a Shudder exclusive. Oh, no, it's a Shudder original.
Yeah, it says original on the intro.
It's a Shudder original. So it's strictly going to be on Shudder. And so it got acquired by the AMC networks and the IFC Midnight label for theatrical release. They do plan on releasing it on, well, it said the film is possibly going to be released on Blu-ray or DVD somehow, or Blu-ray in the future at some point. They haven't set an exact time when That is according to Mr. Ball. Again, this film was made with $15,000. It was made in Mr. Ball's childhood home in Canada. Yeah, in Canada. And it's about two kids that wake up in their home in the middle of the night and their doors and windows are gone. And then horror ensues. So let's just kind of get this out. Initial thoughts before we get into the plot. Initial thoughts.
Mm.
We'll start with Bunyip.
I was reading some reviews and I
Yeah.
kind of agree with some of them. Because I was like, you know what? Like, I really want to, like, hear what other people's point of views are because they can probably put into words a little bit better than I can. And I kind of steal some words from them sometimes, but this
Mhm.
one, because I don't know if it's because I didn't watch it in the way that you suggested to watch it.
Well, I didn't watch it completely in the said way because I was like, I'm not about to watch this with my headphones on in a dark room by myself.
I mean, we were in a dark room. I mean, I was as dark of a room as I could get it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So,
Yeah,
with blacked out curtains and someone on the computer behind
fair,
me, you know.
fair.
So there is one that I read that I kind of was like, okay, and it's kind of regrettable that like a lot of people in the horror community, this is going to be kind of like their introduction to analog horror
Yeah,
because this is one of those movies that you really have to think.
read in between the lines.
Yes, you have to really think about it. Unlike, let's say, uh, the oh gosh, what the heck is that one on YouTube? The something catalog. I can't remember what it is. Something catalog. It's one I actually want to cover, but like that one's also analog horror, and
Yeah,
there's a couple of other ones that are also analog horror that are really great. But you get what they're talking about immediately. Um, the I don't know if they actually filmed it with an old school camera or they just put a filter over it. But honestly, like the filter was so heavy on it that it was kind of hurting my eyes.
I
Like,
think
and
it was a filter because when you looked at certain like the red Legos, those
mhm.
were like really red, and I don't think you can get that without a filter.
I think it was a digital camera in some sort, some capacity, either a smartphone or a digital camera. And
Okay,
then the filter, either way, the filter, I think it was a filter that was added onto it.
okay. So I mean, like with the post editing with like the red Legos and stuff like that, that wasn't
Mhm.
the issue. It was like the filter. I don't know if it was just too heavy, but it hurt my eyes a bit. And I know that there's supposed to be things hiding in the dark, and like you can barely see them, and you're supposed to like you can squint really hard if you try, you know. And I know that that's what the whole point of it is because like
This
um
film is shot in a way where you're like a child seeing things in the dark that aren't there, that in this case are there. That's what the idea of the film is that you're seeing it through the eyes of a child.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you since you put it in that way, I feel like it should have been filmed through the eyes of one of the children
Yes, I feel the same way.
instead of it being like a camera on the floor or a camera set up on in a different location and you hear everything off screen
Hmm.
because I feel like it would have been scarier if you saw it through the eyes of the child than just seeing things off screen and basically playing off your own horror because like I have my own childhood fears as much as everybody else does and I don't like the dark either. Like I have to have some kind of light on even if it's a little one. It doesn't really explain that the windows and doors are closed, so you wouldn't understand
Or
that unless,
gone.
yeah,
Gone.
Well,
yeah.
they do.
Sorry.
Well, they do show them in some scenes. Like they'll show like where the border of the door or window is. I'll flash it, and then it's gone.
I mean, like I saw like the toilet disappear.
Yeah,
And they're like, "Where did it go?"
yeah. The toilet
But
did that, and then they did the same thing with a lot of the doors and windows. That
yeah,
kind of same effect.
and I don't know if like these child actors were sorry. The side note, my house is haunted, and I keep hearing shit behind me, and I'm all like, "Stop it! I know I just watched this fucking movie, but this is not the day to be messing with me. Today's not the day." I keep on hearing like whispers and shit, and I'm like, "Stop it! I'm not. Nope. I'm not dealing with this today." Um, I don't know if the children were experienced actors, or if not, but I'm assuming by the like 4 or 5 lines, the handful of lines, I should say, the handful of lines that they had throughout the entire movie, that it was probably hard for them to memorize their lines, which I can give. I can.
So they actually did all of the audio work in a sound booth.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
In
they could
post.
read. So they could read off the. They
Yeah.
could read their
Mhm.
lines then.
Most likely,
Oh,
they probably said the lines while they were shooting the footage, but then going back into the sound booth and redid them to
Yeah.
add
okay.
them in. It's probably what they, because I know they did do the sound booth. So most likely they probably did both, but they went with the sound booth audio, obviously. But they recorded all that, I'm sure, on set just to be like, oh, here's where all everything goes. But then post did all the sound booth stuff.
Okay. So, because I was like, there's not enough lines. Like I like psychological horror. I love it. So one of my favorite genres. But this one made you think too much. You know, like I know it's supposed to play on your fears, but like I was literally just trying to figure out what the hell was happening in the movie because nothing is really explained ever. You don't see anything. And I love a good monster that you can never see. Believe me, I really do. Like and especially if they're chasing you, fuck, that scares me the most. But it's just like I guess as an adult, it does like things don't scare me as much anymore.
Mhm.
So it wasn't really playing off of a fear that like I have currently.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I can see there's a big effort there. There really is. There's a huge effort. But for me, it kind of missed the mark. You know.
Hmm.
Maybe if I watch it, maybe if I have to watch it again, like if I watch it more than once.
Like I said, this movie is very much divided. I didn't expect everybody to like it as much as you will all find out as much as I do. But like I said, this film is very much divided. People love it, people hate it, and people are kind of like, there's some good stuff in here. I want to see
I
more of the good stuff.
it
There
felt
were some
kind of
issues.
it felt kind of pretentious.
Mm,
You're taking my word.
I'm
mm.
sorry. I'm sorry. Like oh god, it was you. Okay. I was talking to oh gosh, what's his name? Indigo. I was talking to Indigo about it cuz I went to go see him for a bit, and like he asked me like what this movie was, and I was like it's I like I'm
This was a
sorry.
movie. This was a movie I picked, by the way, listeners.
I'm saying this. I'm so sorry from the bottom of my heart, but it felt like a very artsy fartsy type of movie.
Mhm.
Like it
Yes.
was very pretentious. And he goes, "Whoa! Like, what do you mean by pretentious? Like." And he like explained some things, and I was just like, "No." I was like, the food critic from the menu." And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "That kind of pretentious." But something else, and he finally put them together. So he says that it's it's like those hipster people who are really rich and then they buy like the clothes that already have like paint splattered on them that are like over $2,000 and then say that they're artsy. You know, like that's the vibe that I got from this movie. And I feel so bad for saying that,
Uh-huh.
but that is literally like what my initial like critique was. Like it was just too much.
Mhm. Okay.
I
Okay.
feel that.
Okay. Okay.
So I will add just before anyone else talks that we are doing this a little bit differently than our usual reviews because the plot of this movie is not exactly that easy to follow
It's not.
because you from the basically a visual is that you don't get visuals. You get uh, cameras pointed at walls,
Snapshots.
at toys, at things that are moving and not moving. So it's not really something we're going to try to go through and remember how everything went exactly.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
will touch on the big points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do say though, regardless if you end up, if people, listeners, if you end up liking it or hating it, I do think that this film is something to watch at least once.
Yeah, like it is something to watch once. I'm not going to say don't watch this. But again, like I think I might just have to rewatch it again. Like
Mm-hmm.
to try and understand it again.
Bunyip,
Yeah, Bunyip, go next, please.
you're
Oh,
awfully
in
silent
21
over
minutes,
there.
so I finally get a chance to. All right, so my experience with the movie was basically okay, spooky trailer. This might be interesting. Lots of silence, lots of darkness, lots of shooting things that aren't people, lots of shooting of not faces because I
Mhm.
guess it's so that they can hide the dialogue speaking,
Mhm.
and then hearing sounds like what was that, and then later someone's like, yeah, he fell down the stairs. Like, wait, that's what that was.
Mhm.
And then
Mm.
after hearing the opinion of another person explain a little bit about the movie, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, there's the reason that there's so many moments of where seemingly nothing happens is to build dread, except I never felt any dread.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I watched this at 1 a.m. alone in my room with no lights except maybe my dehumidifier. Well, it wasn't really that bright. I wasn't paying attention. I was just like looking at the screen, waiting for things to happen. I was expecting something to like run down the hall because that's scarier than something just immediately popping up. But something
Yeah.
running down the hall out of the darkness is like
Yeah.
that's what I was expecting, and then nothing happened. Like what I wanted to happen,
Mhm.
except two scares got me.
Yeah, those are the same ones that got me too.
Um, Shall I
They
describe them?
got you? I'm sorry.
Oh no, well, one got me really fucking good. But yeah, you can go ahead and describe them, Bunyip. Because like I said, regardless if we actually discuss the plot, when you actually watch it, it doesn't really spoil anything. So we're not really
Yeah.
spoiling anything. The theories that I'm gonna go into, and my personal theory, will kind of spoil some stuff, but overall, you'll be fine watching this movie. You'll be fine. Listen to this before if you decide to do that.
All right, first scare. It was more of a startling thing. It was just like it looked like an Alice in Chains music video, just eyes sewn shut and mouth
Oh yeah,
completely sewn shut. I'm like, whoa!
Oh,
And
that thing.
yeah,
Kaylee. Yeah.
and then one that's like near the end of the movie, just barely visible eyes in the darkness. Like, oh, that is unsettling. Oh, it's just the toy phone.
The toy phone.
And then
Yeah.
it like looks at you like, oh Jesus! And then it goes back to those
Uh-huh.
eyes in the darkness. Like, okay, you got me there. I'm not gonna be able to sleep for a while. And then
Yeah,
watching the rest of the movie was like, oh, well, that was
yeah,
the best part I saw.
that toy phone got me too. And I was like, oh,
That's pretty much it. And my initial thoughts on it before looking at someone else's opinion was just, I don't really like this movie. I don't see what the hype is. I don't see what Zero likes about this. And then listening to Wendigoon's explanation of the movie, I was like, okay, this actually makes more sense. I think I'm going to give it a little more credit. I don't think it's an incredibly good movie, but I don't think it's garbage either.
my theory that I was kind of working as I was watching the film is very similar to Wendigoon's. So when I watched Wendigoon, I'm like, cool, I'm not the only one that thought this. Great. So got some. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's not unheard of, but I do love the artsy fartsier side of the horror genre. I do love A24 to the highest degree. So this film, I knew what I was getting into going into this film without even looking at the reviews, because all I heard was a experimental horror, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting into. It's going to be a lot of very experimental shots and storytelling, and you gotta kind of piece it together. And I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting into. So, is this film perfect? No, not at all. Not perfect, but I like what was put here. So as a defense attorney, I will do so, because the fact that, because the camera work, that looking at the walls and looking at the shots of the kids, shots of the TV with the cartoons, or sometimes even they even went back and forth between the camera looking at the kids directly to where the camera is almost like the eyes of the child looking. So they kind of went back and forth at some point, especially towards the end with the character Kevin. The camera almost kind of became like the Kevin's eyes in a way towards the end. I like this director, in my personal opinion, knows how to build atmosphere. And I think that's what this film was, in my opinion, meant to do. Build atmosphere. Dread, I mean, I got the dread more so towards the latter half when I kind of was starting to piece together my theories. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where this would go, dread. I just kind of wanted it to take a step further. I wanted to go more, if that makes sense. Like, I like the direction it was going. It just like stopped. It stopped at 2 exits back when I wanted them to go like 2 exits forward down the highway. They took the wrong exit, if that makes sense. I wanted more. Yeah. I don't know what else to put there.
All right, so I guess I'll go next. I will give it credit because it tried to do something that nobody's ever done before, and that's incredibly difficult in this day and age where we're filled with remakes, endless just retelling of the same stories in different formats. This one, it tried to make its own way, and I respect it for that. I will give it that. There were a couple parts of it that I understood that what they were trying to do with building the tension and the atmosphere, as far as all of the kind of weird decisions for like not decisions like occurrences of the windows and doors disappearing, reappearing, the fluctuating of time as the cartoon gets played on repeat over and over and over and over and over. Um, but it didn't work for me, and I think the only host here that went with somebody's suggestion
Yes.
of
My
watching it.
boyfriend's suggestion how to watch the movie. But of course, he also watched it really high, so
Oh my,
I'm
that's
sure that
Oh,
amplified everything.
maybe that's what I need to do.
so I'm someone. So yes, I watched it in like it was like 10 o'clock at night, no lights on, everything else was off the TV, and I was wearing some big ass fucking stereo headsets, and that was probably the worst thing I could have done because I am an audiophile. I enjoy nice, soothing sounds going through my ears.
Hmm.
This movie was made of the exact opposite. If you listen to it with headphones, there is a constant stream of static
Yeah.
and just noise that just put me not on edge. It just made me angry. Like I was genuinely upset, and I was checking the time for this movie like every 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, how much longer do I have to deal with this? Um, like it really did not enhance it the movie experience whatsoever.
Mhm.
It did make a couple parts where I think if I had watched it over the TV, I wouldn't have been able to hear the whispering at some of the points of the movie, because they do where like you can it's the whispering is barely audible,
Yeah.
and so that didn't help. Um, I have to say that the the whole camera work of it is kind of what turned me off to it because it felt kind of like it felt like it reminded me of a Blair Witch Project, honestly.
That's what this film is compared to a lot.
Yeah, except that you you get less from it than you do Blair Witch Project because they actually show the faces of the actors,
Hmm.
actresses. They show emotions. You can connect with them, and this one you had to do it all through the audio of the children. And since they mostly were whispering and you could barely hear them, even if they were giving the performance of a lifetime, I could not tell just because I could barely hear it, even with the headsets. Um, so that's kind of my main issue with this movie. Uh, the camera work also, I I kind of I was okay with it up until the point where she went into the room. The Kaylee went into
Yeah.
the parents' room, and the mother said, "Close your eyes," and then the camera made like you were actually looking through the eyes, and I'm like, this would have been better if I was actually watching through her eyes the entire time. It doesn't make sense why you're doing this now. I mean, once you get to the end, I think I get it that this entity can do basically what it says, whatever it wants to. It controls everything. So I guess that makes sense for why that whole it looked like eyelids closing as opposed to just a
Hmm.
camera. But that just it made me think that was kind of stupid, and that just didn't. I don't know. I was turned off of the movie at that point. It by the end, it did. Yeah, the whole parts where the hallways were getting super long, and they would basically you're looking into a void, like you felt like you're looking into a void. That
Yeah.
that part was like the only part of the movie I was like, okay, this is interesting. I wish they would have gotten to this sooner, which is why I kind of get your whole highway metaphor.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like that's where that should have been much sooner part of the movie, but it wasn't. You had to get all the way to the end, and the ending didn't make sense to me. I wasn't sure if the kids were actually not alive, or
Hmm.
the entity was just continuously causing them to suffer for all eternity. So yeah, I guess that's where I'll leave my points. That didn't like it. The audios messed me up. The visuals was not appealing. The few horror jump scares that they had just didn't do it for me. Uh,
Hmm.
the whole screaming with the hand coming out, that was like, I think one that got all of us, but
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It didn't do anything for me. So yeah.
Mhm.
Also, the camera work is pretty still. Like it's all still shots. The only time it seems to really move is during that bedroom scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
here's the father. Look over here. Nobody. Look back over here. Where's dad? Look back in the first place. Oh, there's mom. That's pretty much it in terms of camera.
Yeah, and they tease you out with that whole look under the bed. And she
Yeah.
looks, nothing. Comes back up. No, look again. You're definitely waiting for something. Like the tension was there, but it just never came about until almost 2 or 3 minutes after that, and then she turns around, and the whole hand thing comes from the door. So, eh.
Mhm. Um, Bunya,
Hmm.
I know you have theories and you listen to Wendigo's theory. Want to explain Wendigo's theory, and then we go, and then I guess if anyone has any theories outside of that, of
It's
course, I
either
have my
a
own. So,
literal interpretation of a demon haunting a family, or it's symbolic of like child abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much
That's pretty much
the
the theory.
the theory is that the mother, it all centers around pretty much the mother and father, but mostly the mother. Well, Wendigoon's theory was the mother brought something into the house, and this thing has been fucking with them. Demon, ghost, whatever. That is Wendigoon's theory, which is a YouTuber. I don't necessarily think it's that literal that this demon thing was brought into the house. I think this is more of a they're dead. They're in limbo or in hell, and this thing in this house is like their prison for eternity. I know in the beginning of the film they mentioned that Kevin sleepwalks and he fell down some stairs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that was the moment Kevin died. If that makes sense, because I think this is all because after that's when everything started getting weird. Is when they went to bed and they woke up. There's also a theory that that he is in a coma, and Kevin is this is all his like coma dream. But I personally think this is like the limbo or hell. There's certain lines that the parents say to the kids, like, "Oh, me and your father both love you." Lines like that happen when they first see the mother and father in the bedroom. I think that's obviously. I think the parents were going to get a divorce at some point in there when they were when the children were alive.
Initially thought, and
Yeah.
I'm still gonna think that, where it's like because the mother and father are never in the same frame.
No, they're not. And father only shows up in the first half of the film, and then everything else is about the mother.
Yeah. So I was like, maybe it's the kids going through a divorce and then trying to distract themselves with toys and television, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
I think he's in the room though. Whenever Kaylee goes up to the room.
Yeah, but after that, it's mostly about the mother.
Did anyone notice the fact that in the very beginning, the father went to go look for Kaylee, but he couldn't find her?
That too. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Like it was after he came back from the hospital, and it seemed like he went to go. He said, "Kaylee," and he looked in a couple rooms, and then he went to go make the phone call, and that's when everything kind of started going off the rails. But that just seemed odd to me.
Didn't even think of that.
Like I'm wondering if Kaylee was actually even there.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are necessarily real except for Kevin, and everything else is like a fabrication of the demon or whatever is torturing him in the house. But yeah, he sleepwalks, falls down the stairs, hits his head, and the father's on the phone with somebody, but you kind of get the idea that it might be the mother. So the mother's not necessarily living in the house in the beginning, and then you find her there. But also Kaylee also talks about the fact that she doesn't want to talk about mom.
Yeah.
Trigger warning. This movie does have some trigger warnings in a sense of like when you start thinking about and putting the thing together, child abuse is a big part of majority of the theories with this film. I think.
Oh, there's an epilepsy warning too.
Oh, there's an episode. Oh, yeah. That's actually in the beginning of the film, right? No,
I don't know, but there is an epilepsy warning
because of the TV, right?
Yeah,
because of the TV.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that shit hurt my eyes, dude. I was like,
So, but yeah, majority of the theories deal with child abuse, and for the ones I found, they mostly center around the mother. Sometimes the mother and father, but mostly the mother. That's the abusive one in the household, which
I can kind of see that because Kevin just seemed to be able to he knew what to do to take care of his sister.
Yeah.
when the toilet disappeared, he was the one that went to go grab the buckets, and then you hear just Kaylee go,
Slide them in.
"Gross." That
Yeah.
was great. I
Yeah.
love that little part. And then when Kaylee was kind of upset, he went to go get her juice box.
Yeah. Oh, he was like, "I got you juice." I was like, "Oh, baby." I almost cried though whenever they're like, "Did you say 4?" Whenever the operator was asking how
Oh,
old the kid was.
Yeah.
Was it Kevin?
That
yeah.
was Kevin.
Yeah, and like he's just like, I feel sick, I hurt myself, and I feel sick, and then and then whenever they asked like how old he was, and he said that he was like 4 years old, I was like, oh no.
Plot twist, that was the demon.
Yeah,
It was the demon playing tricks on poor Kevin.
the operator.
Yeah. So the operator was the demon.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't get that whole fight. Like, I get that the demon or whatever was able to control time. The,
mhm.
the whole, like, I didn't understand why we needed to know it was 500 some odd days. I was wondering, like, if there was any significance about that. Like, if you divide it into months or weeks or whatever, if it came up with, like, a certain number or anything.
I don't think so, but I mean, I'm sure somebody out there is probably looking
One
at
and a
that.
half years estimated.
So that's
Interesting.
18 months.
The fact that the demon, for the most part, takes the form of the mother more than the father, which also kind of goes into the theory that the mother was the abusive
Abusive.
parent. The fact that when Kaylee was asking, or the air quotes, Kaylee was asking for her mother, what was done to her was done to her. And I guess that kind of goes into, I'm sure there's I don't know exactly, obviously, but I'm sure there's a significant with the abuse between her and her mother. And that's part of the reason why Kaylee was like, I don't want to talk about mom.
Not
'Cause I'm
being able
sure.
to speak about it.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Towards the very end, there's the blood splatter scene.
oh yeah.
That was the part that I was like, okay, that was interesting. I was super fucked up, but super interesting.
I have a few
Like, was it just
things.
happening over and over and over again?
Yeah,
What it looks
that's what I
like,
was
yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, like they just kept on putting him through it.
I have a couple theories about that. So there's
I found that kind of funny for the wrong reasons. Just like the blood kept splattering.
This
Like,
poor
that's
child.
terrible. But then it's like reversing. I'm like, okay, now he's just messing with them.
I think that was that was him falling down the stairs and hitting the floor
Okay.
each time over and over. That's my personal theory. There are some other theories that there is also abuse between the mother and father, and that might have been an incident where the father killed the mother and him, or the whole family. So there's also a theory that both parents are abusive and that the father killed everybody, and that's why they're all there in hell. But I kind of like, that doesn't really make sense because the demon takes the form of both of them, but mostly the mother. So I kind of subscribe to the idea that the abusive parent, at least in Kevin's life, was the mother. And the fact with the proof of concept Heck, which is about a son and his mother in hell, I think that obviously has influence from that as well. So, but I think honestly, that's because when the blood's splattering everywhere, he cries out for mommy. So I'm assuming, that's my personal guess, is that that's the point he fell down the stairs. Either he fell down the stairs with a sleepwalk, or his mother pushed him down the stairs. And that call in the beginning of him calling somebody might have been somebody else, because it never clarified who the father was talking to. And there was no indication that the parents already split, that they were just talking about it. Hence the conversation between Kaylee and her mother about, me and your father both love you very much. So the mother might have not left the house yet. And the reason why Kevin fell down the stairs might have been because of his mother. And then, of course, the blood splatter is that he died when he hit the ground, fell down the stairs and hit the ground.
That's interesting. I could see that.
I love the shots of the door. What looks to be like a painting. The door just stretches to like this weird paint-like substance in the void, and same with the house. I love those shots. I was like, so good. I love it. That's why I'm like, oh, they're in hell or the void or limbo. Got it. But yeah, I think this film's pretty good. My personal opinion, I think this film's about abuse between mother and her children. A mother and her children. And the father wanting to divorce the mom and probably take custody of the kids, but due to obviously have not gotten divorced yet, mother got into it with the kids, pushed down Kevin down the stairs, and he died that night. And then the movie starts with him in limbo with the demon, and the demon takes the form of the thing he's scared of most, but he also cares about the most. The person who abused him and or killed him, his own mother. And I was just like, oof. And then after I'm like, I need to go to the internet. Am I the only one thinking this, or is it just me? And obviously it's not just me, because I thought it was just me. I was like, am I looking too much into this? But luckily I am not the only one looking into coming up to that conclusion. But for a first film, I gotta give it to Mr. Ball. He really went hard. I just wanted him to go a little harder with it. But you can obviously tell that this film was made by somebody who loves making film and takes risks. Like, give this man a budget and a team.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. $15,000 for that was pretty well spent for everything that he did do.
Oh yeah,
sound design and everything.
It's like, give this man a budget and a team. Because I think with a budget and a team, I think a lot of those issues that me and the co-host might have talked about would probably be resolved or find conclusions for. Because I mean, it's only he was the only one that wrote it. He wrote the screenplay for it. So if you have multiple people kind of be like, hey, kind of bouncing off ideas, he might have obviously done stuff a little differently. And of course, if he has a whole editing team and a production team, things would have been because he basically did everything himself pretty much. He was the director, screenplay. Someone else did the cinematography, helped him with cinematography. He edited it. So yeah, it's maybe like three people involved outside the actors, 3 behind the scenes people, a producer, him, and then a cinematographer. And then there was 4 actors. Like, damn. But yeah, the film grossed, when it was released, on its first 3 days, it grossed $746,000.
How much?
$746,000, and made it within its first 3 days of theatrical release.
Nice.
On a $15,000 budget, so he made bank. I mean, the money numbers are not a lot, but compared to the budget of the film, he made fucking bank.
Yeah.
But in total, worldwide, it made about $2 million, box office wise.
Is the recording still good? Things changed.
What do you mean? You're recording?
No, it's still recording.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Your sound waves look really
Is
janky.
It's fuzzy, right? Like the sound
Yeah.
waves? Yeah, I have that too.
That's weird. Mine sound waves are fine. Either way, as long as it's recording on everybody's end locally, we're Gucci.
Okay.
Because everyone sounds fine. Quality of audio means.
Okay.
So I think we're Gucci. Bunyip, any favorite theory you subscribe to, or did you come up with any theory while watching the movie? What was going on?
mainly the child abuse thing, but I'd say it was probably a good idea to convey significant parts of the movie through the animations on the television,
Hmm.
such as Balloon Land by Iwerks.
Hmm.
Was it's just like that, and then a cartoon where there's children sleeping on beds and drifting upwards to dreamland, which I don't know the name of that animation, but it's supposed to be like, here is the escape, and then by the time it gets to the cartoon with a spider villain who's trying to get two flies, that's when it's like, oh no, the demon is trapping them, or the evil parent is trapping them, and then there's like a series of doors being opened by this one character. I'm like, I recognize this cartoon. That's Bimbo's Initiation, which is a weird cartoon.
Yes, it is.
And then the most significant cartoon where the dog is looking at the rabbit who's constantly like making himself disappear. That is Presto
Yeah.
Changeo by Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
And that rabbit looks a lot like one of the mini bosses from Cuphead. When you're fighting King Dice, like it looks the head shape is the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, I see how you get your inspiration.
Mm-hmm. I like how they did put the credit of like, hey, all this stuff is on archive.org. Like we
And
do
it's
not.
public domain.
Yeah,
And I
I
tried to
love how
find the
they said
title
that.
for all of them, and I couldn't. There's too many. There's too many listed on archive.org.
God,
There's a lot of stuff listed on archive.org.
this film really just what it really puts a fire under my ass that I want to get something done.
Me too, dude. I really want
Because like these
fucking
people
more
out
stuff.
here doing shit for cheap for less than $15,000 or even less. Hell, as the time of this recording, the 16-year-old back in 2019 that did the Backrooms animations shorts on YouTube is got a movie deal with A24
Yeah.
and Atomic
Mhm.
Monster, and he's directing the movie for a Backrooms film. A 16-year, well, no, he's 20 now, but like a 20-year-old
But he
getting
was
a full
16 when he
budget.
made it.
Yeah, he was 16 when he made it, but he's 20 now, and he's got a whole film deal, and he starts production on it during his summer break next summer,
Work.
this summer. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? Hello? Granted, everyone has different lives and different paces in their life to get to their certain goals. So, ladies and gentlemen out there like myself, don't compare yourself to others because it's just a slippery slope. Everyone has different pace in life for different things, different resources applied to life and stuff. Doesn't mean that's not ever going to happen for you. I'm telling that to myself out loud as well as anyone who's listening too. So I'm like, I'm 30. But
Add something about the animations as well as the
go
toys.
for it.
Like
Go
the
for it.
animations basically like getting more sinister and
Yes.
being manipulated, but also the toys disappearing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh, like if it's actually taking place in hell. And it's like, oh, you don't get to escape from me. I'm going to eat your snake. I'm going to eat your Legos. I'm just going to take all of this.
It's taking all the happiness where there's nothing left but just darkness and terror or dread.
That's all I had to add.
I just want to ask the director a bunch of questions. He keeps everything vague as far as the story goes on purpose, obviously, because he's not going to say anything about the story. He's like, I tell a complete story in there. It's your job to figure it out, which I love because honestly, if I were to make a film, I probably wouldn't want to make something like that because that's just me, and I love films, especially horror, that force you to think like that. But at the same point, it's like I want to know. I need to know these answers. What's the demon? Is the demon part of lore? Is this made up? Like, are they in limbo? Is it in hell? Is he in a coma? Because my theory could work with the fact that he's in hell or limbo, and then of course a coma. So all that can work too. I kind of knew something was fishy though when they said, "Oh, he fell when he was sleepwalking." Because isn't that a normal excuse when it comes to stuff like that, topics of that nature?
Mm.
At least in media, they do that with like when there's a television show or a movie about an abusive parent, they say, "Oh, he fell because he was sleepwalking or some shit."
It's usually like uh, falling in the shower, or he's just a kid. They like to play rough, or
Yeah.
Yeah, but sleepwalking,
It's like, that they get into stuff and they can get hurt. And
yeah. But the sleepwalking excuse, that was kind of the first red flag.
Yeah, because when he's walking around, it doesn't seem like it's completely aimless. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
go into the bathroom when you look for a dad, or when he's looking for his dad.
well, I mean, it does show him walking out of his room at one point and then going back into his room. Like, you see his little feet,
Hmm.
like, walk out of his, like, out into the hallway and then walk back into the hallway, or, like, back into, like, where his room is, I'm assuming. So it's not like he would have, like, walked down the stairs, because, like, his body knows. But then again, he did ask if they could sleep downstairs at one point in the movie.
I think that was towards the beginning, and I thought that was Kaylee that asked that.
I
Is
don't
that-
remember. I remember I can't tell voices because they both sound like little kids because they're
Yeah.
whispering. So, like, but I do remember, like, a child asking, like, can we sleep downstairs?
Mm.
Jesus Christ, my dog scared the hell out of me just right now. He's outside, and his way of letting us know he wants to go back inside is him tackling the door. So you just hear a big bang from the back door.
So, what are we gonna do for our rating system?
Mm,
Spooky telephones.
the telephones.
Spooky telephones could work. Theo?
Did he walk away?
I don't remember Zio saying anything about walking away.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he does, though. He did that on Sunday, remember?
Just spontaneously.
We're like, wait a minute, where's our DM? And then, like, he showed up, like, 5 minutes later, like, sorry. We're like, what happened?
Oh, this also happened that one time where he got disconnected because the computer got shut off or whatever.
Mm, you right?
So what's happening?
I fucking told you.
Sorry, I had to take care of something real quick. I was hearing a weird noise, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?"
That's the Skinamarink. That's
Shut
the
the
demon.
shut the fuck up.
It's the demon who's there.
Like it's an urban legend. It's the Skinamarink.
Shut your face. I'm not gonna lie though, this film kind of did not want to say trigger, like tap into my fear of the dark, because I still Loki, I have no shame. I'm still afraid of the dark to an extent. I don't like being in a pitch black room. I have to see something. Even if it's just a little bit of a little light, I have to be able to see my surroundings somewhat. Because I just can't. I can't. It's a no for me.
I feel kind of similar, but it's usually so I can just see where I'm going. Otherwise, it's like pitch dark room. I'm like, damn it. And then there's the risk of tripping over something.
Yeah.
And like stubbing your toe, like, fuck.
That and just my imagination.
Son of a bitch.
My imagination's too crazy. I don't trust it. No.
Oh, God, that reminds me of this time in college. So, brief side note before we do our rating system. I'm in the bathroom taking a shower, and then some guy thinks it's a funny idea to just shut the lights off. And there's no windows here, so it's completely black.
Oh God.
So I'm just like, and I turn off the shower, and I just grab my towel to briefly cover myself, and then I go and feel around for the lights. Like, okay, back to the shower.
Mm.
Like it was supposed to be funny or something.
I'm sorry.
Rude.
I've done that. I've done that.
I'd be like, if someone would do that to me, I'd be like, whichever one of you bitches did that, you better hope the guy don't see you when I get out the shower. You're gonna catch his hands. You're gonna see a full face of bare ass. I'm gonna come out this bathroom butt ass naked and beat your ass.
Oh my God.
Also, side note. If you guys have not tried the Dr. Pepper Strawberries and Cream, please do so. It's so fucking good.
Oh, is it? I want to try it.
Oh, so good. It's my favorite Dr. Pepper, period.
Take it to the game tomorrow.
I might take one. Actually, when I get done Ubering tomorrow, I might go pick up another case just to have it because they sell out so quick. Anyway, so rating system. How do you want to rate this? How many of what? How many Legos? How many toy phones?
Yeah, I think we agreed on like demon phones.
Oh, demon phones. Okay. So so 1 out of 5 demon phones. What's everyone's score for this film? For Skinamarink?
I'm going with 2.5.
Okay.
Mainly for all the reasons I cited, such as I wanted it to frighten me more, but it didn't do what I wanted it to.
Okay.
But it did. I like what it was trying to do, and it did a fairly decent job. But I think it might just need some work. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this director makes in the future.
Same.
Me too.
All right. So we got a 2.5. Who's next? I want to go last. That's why I'm asking.
Of course you want to go last.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
No, we know what your worst movie is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just give it a straight 2.
Okay.
2 demon phones.
2 demon phones.
All right. So we got a 2.5 and a 2.
I will say I will give it probably a 2.5 as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
For the reasons that I listed, and I want more. I want to see more of what he's going to do. I'm excited about the potential. And if he makes movies that are based off of the same universe and stuff like that, like maybe it'll explain more of the lore.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would be. I hope he does. That'd be cool.
Okay. So we got a 2.5, a 2.5, and a 2. Now is the defense attorney. I'm going to rate this film. So do I want to give it the same rating I gave it when I first initially watched it? Okay. Because I'm kind of gauging between 3.5 to 4. 4, I think I'm going to go with 3.5. I kind of go back and forth because I kind of like, is it a 3.5? Is it a 4 for me? Because I love the atmosphere that this director creates. The mystery of it all and how like it's like a big old puzzle. And I love the fact that I had to sit there and be like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is
going on? And the fact that this man, a fellow gay, basically just creating a film just because he wanted to make a film, and I appreciate that, and it just gives me more of a drive to want to create one myself. So I think I'm gonna go with a 3.5. for the reasons I said before. For the most part, I loved it, but I just wanted it to go further. I want more. I just wanted him to take that extra leap into the chaos that he created. That's all I wanted. It was just more chaos, more creepiness, just more of it. So yeah. So what's the average? We got a 2.5, a 2.5, a 2, and a 3.5.
It's a 2.625.
Marvelous. So go check it out. It is on Shudder. It is a definite you should watch at least once to experience it. Again, people are comparing. If you want a comparison, people have been mostly comparing it to the Blair Witch Project. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is a kind of a love letter to analog horror in some ways too, and creepypastas. Yes, I'm hoping that this director, Mr. Kyle, God, what's his middle name? Kyle Howard Ball? Right. Let me double check that. Kyle
Edward Ball.
I hope Kyle Edward Ball goes places. Shudder, IFC, A24, Blumhouse, somebody. Give this man a budget. Give this man a big budget, horror film budget, and a big commercial horror film budget. Get him a team. I want to see what he does with them, with all the proper stuff. Or actually, give him if he wants to do low budget, give him a little bit more of a budget. Give him like 100 mil. 100 mil. Oh God, 100,000. Jesus, 100 mil.
That's a lot.
A lot of money. Give him 100,000. I want to see what he does with a little bit bigger budget and more resources, because this director has some ideas, and I like it. And I want more of it. I want some more of it. Copyright, can't do that.
Stop it.
Sorry, but yes, it's a watch. It's a must watch from me, because I think everyone should watch at least once, so you can develop your own opinion and see where you stand within the dividedness of the community. Yeah, I'm in the bracket of love it, and then there are people in the world that hate it. I'm not saying any of y'all, obviously, because not everyone here hate. Not the host. I don't think there's a host here that necessarily hates the film. There's just people gauge more in the middle.
There's things about it.
Yeah, there's some good ideas here, and that's what most of the reviews I've seen, even the ones that people think that hate it. It seems to be a common consensus that this film has some good ideas here. There's something good here. Some good inventiveness going on. I want to see more of that. So get to it, Mr. Ball. Chop chop. Chop chop. I better be seeing the gay over at some of the big film festivals, or head to my theater in 2 years. Come on. Chop chop. So
he's not going to come in and do the interview anymore.
No, he's probably not. That's fine.
He's going to be like, nah, bitch, you don't do that shit to me.
We're never going to get guests on here, I swear.
Because of your ass.
What do you mean my ass? What did I do?
You putting your goddamn foot in your fucking mouth. You do it in D&D? You do it in real life?
What the hell what did I say?
Chop chop, let's go.
I want to see some more. That's not being insulting. So I want to see more films. Let's chop chop. Get it creating. That's not a bad thing. But
no, it's not.
There is another film coming out this year that is kind of like Skinamarink, in a sense, the found footage low budget. It's called Outwaters. It's already in theaters. So I'm just waiting for it to, or it's going to be in theaters Friday. Have you guys been seeing? I don't know if anyone's on Twitter. Any of y'all are on Twitter, but there's been this weird campaign of like, have you seen these people missing posters over Twitter and stuff about these missing people? They go out into the, I think it's good. They go out in the desert to shoot a music video, and they all go missing. But that's like it's a weird marketing for a horror film that's coming out this week. It's another low budget, another budget of 15,000 actually.
Nice.
I
mean, I'm on Twitter, but I haven't seen that.
Now this honestly we'll probably talk about this one when it comes out because it's going to be hitting Screambox later on this year. Which, if you don't know, Screambox is Bloody Disgusting's streaming service. I think it's Bloody Disgusting streaming service, or it's just another horror streaming service in general. I've been debating if been wanting to subscribe to it or not. So, but this film's going to be on there later on this year. So when that hits, I'm sure we'll probably talk about this film at some point. Cause this is another one I've been eyeing. It's another found footage. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Remember, go catch Skinamarink on Shudder today. Links and stuff will be in the description below if you want to come follow us on Twitter or the YouTubes. So until next week, where we will talk about something else. Bye.
Bye.
God, if I fucking saw a face in the darkness, you know I'd do? I'd punch it. I'd punch it right in the face.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
I would punch that bitch in the face. What are you talking about? If I see a demon, I'm like, oh no, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna fucking get a nice punch in the face in first. I'm gonna give you a reason to. I mean, I would, but then I would punch it. I'd punch it and scream. So if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna give him a mark, a shiner. Give him a reason to kill me, you know? Than just existing.
Than just existing.